Welcome back to Wainsider, where we take you deep into the heart of the most shocking moments and unforgettable twists in the world of professional wrestling. Tonight, we have a story that will leave you speechless, one that's sure to rewrite the history books of WWE and send waves through the very foundation of the industry. Roman Reigns, a man whose very name has become synonymous with dominance, has made a decision that has left the WWE universe in total disbelief. A decision that has shaken the wrestling world to its core. It's time to talk about the shocking return of The Shield and Roman Reigns' pivotal role in its rebirth at WWE Clash in Paris. For years, Roman Reigns has stood as the undisputed head of the table in WWE, the leader of the bloodline. His reign as the tribal chief has been marked by one victory after another, as he has left a trail of fallen superstars in his wake. But beneath the towering mountain of accomplishments, there has always been something lurking in the shadows. The weight of being the constant face of the company, the pressure of upholding the Anoa'i legacy, and the ever-present battle to maintain his spot at the top. For Roman, this journey has been both a blessing and a curse. Roman's path to greatness has been paved with both triumph and tension. The wrestling world has seen him face his share of rivals, from Seth Rollins to John Cena, and each rivalry has brought its own set of challenges. But there has always been something else at play, the silent resentment from those around him. The other members of his family, his cousins, and his former brothers-in-arms from the Shield have all felt the strain of being in Roman's shadow. It's not just about titles, championships, or fame, it's about legacy, and who gets to define it. Please like, share and subscribe for more WWE content. The Bloodline, once a symbol of unity and strength, has become a fractured entity over the years. The cracks were there long before Solo Sikoa's betrayal or Jacob Fatu's bold new alliances. There was always tension, always that feeling that the members of the Bloodline were walking a tightrope. Roman, once seen as the leader of a brotherhood, had long since left behind the camaraderie that the Shield once stood for. The Shield was once a symbol of rebellion, a group that fought against the very system that Roman now led. In many ways, that brotherhood was a distant memory. But tonight, in Paris, everything changes. There was a moment during WWE Clash where the air was thick with tension. Roman, standing tall as the tribal chief, was preparing for what seemed like just another defense of his title, another night of domination. But as the arena lights flickered and the crowd roared, something unexpected happened. The unmistakable sound of Sierra, Hotel, India, Echo, Lima, Delta, echoed through the arena, sending shockwaves through the WWE universe. It was then that we saw it, a moment of pure shock that would forever alter the course of WWE history. From the shadows, Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, aligned himself with two figures from his past, figures whose very names were once synonymous with rebellion. The Shield was back, but this time, it was under Roman's control. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, now known as Jon Moxley, stood side by side with Reigns, their familiar vests marking their return as a force to be reckoned with. The return of the Shield under Roman's leadership was nothing short of a revelation. It wasn't just a reunion, it was a shocking declaration of intent. Roman had always been the leader of the bloodline, but now, he was taking things to another level. With Seth Rollins and Jon Moxley at his side, Roman wasn't just the tribal chief anymore, he was the kingpin of an entirely new faction, a group that could dominate every corner of WWE. And as the trio stood in the ring, their eyes locked on their opponents, it was clear that the world was about to witness something truly unprecedented. But as the trio made their way to the ring, it became apparent that the stakes were higher than anyone could have imagined. Roman's motives were not as clear-cut as they appeared. For years, he had carried the weight of the Anoa'i family on his shoulders, but what if this new formation of the Shield was not just about power? What if it was about something deeper, something more personal? The shocking climax came when Roman, with a cold and calculated look in his eyes, turned on Seth Rollins and Jon Moxley. In a move that no one saw coming, Roman delivered a vicious spear to his former brothers, sending them crashing to the mat. The WWE Universe was left in stunned silence as Roman stood over them, his face twisted with a mix of power and something else, betrayal. The Shield, the very symbol of rebellion against the establishment, had been turned on its head. Roman's betrayal wasn't just about turning on his brothers, it was about asserting his absolute dominance. For years, Roman had been part of a team, a brotherhood, a family. But now, he was declaring that no one, not even Seth Rollins or Jon Moxley, could share the spotlight with him. The reign of Roman Reigns had always been about control, but this was something entirely different. This was about claiming the throne without question, without compromise. Backstage, whispers began to swirl. Was this the beginning of a new era for Roman Reigns? Was he finally stepping out from the shadow of his former self, leaving behind any remnants of his past and embracing the pure power that came with being the tribal chief? Rumors spread that Roman had grown tired of being compared to his former brothers, tired of sharing the spotlight with anyone. The bloodline, once his ultimate source of strength, had become a burden, a reminder of the sacrifices he'd made for his family. But as we looked deeper, the emotional toll of Roman's actions became clearer. Was he truly in control of his destiny, or was he just a pawn in a much larger game? There were reports from within WWE that Roman's actions were a response to growing tensions with his own family. The constant pressure to be the face of the company, the weight of carrying the Anoa'i legacy, Roman's thirst for power might have been driven by a fear that he was losing control of everything he had worked so hard to build. The fallout from Roman's shocking attack on Seth and Moxley was felt across the locker room. Friends became enemies, and alliances were shattered in an instant. Roman's decision to reignite the Shield under his terms was more than just a betrayal of his former brothers, it was a reflection of the growing divide within the wrestling industry. The old guard, the faction that once stood for unity and rebellion, was no more. Now, the future of WWE rested on Roman's shoulders, but at what cost? As we reflect on Roman's shocking new direction, it's impossible to ignore the symbolism of his actions. The Shield, a brotherhood once built on loyalty, had become a tool for Roman to solidify his dominance. He had taken something sacred and twisted it to his own ends, forever changing the legacy of the faction. But in doing so, Roman had created a new path, one that could either bring him even greater power or lead to his ultimate downfall. For Seth Rollins and Jon Moxley, the betrayal was not just a personal blow, it was a reminder that in the world of wrestling, even the strongest bonds can be broken. But in true Shield fashion, we know that they will rise again. Whether together or apart, they will never be silenced. The question now is whether Roman Reigns, in his pursuit of ultimate power, will be able to maintain control, or whether the seeds of his own destruction have already been sown. The emotional aftermath of this betrayal will be felt for months to come. Roman Reigns may have gained more power, but in doing so, he has lost something precious, the loyalty of his brothers. The Anoa'i family may still be behind him, but the question remains, how long will they stand by a man who has sacrificed everything, even family, for power? In the end, this shocking new chapter in Roman Reigns' story is more than just a plot twist. It's a reflection of the complex nature of loyalty, power, and ambition in the world of professional wrestling. The legacy of the Shield may never be the same, but the echoes of its return will reverberate throughout WWE for years to come. The blood that once bound them together may now be the very thing that drives them apart. As we watch this new era unfold, we can only wonder, in a world where trust is broken and loyalties are tested, will Roman Reigns truly be able to maintain control? Or has he, in his quest for ultimate power, sealed his own fate? Only time will tell.